Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Jocelyn Blowfield. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Royal Australian Navy and its predecessor. Today, we remember and pay tribute to able seaman Gordon Frederick Bone. We warmly welcome Vice Minister of Commerce and Industry, Timor-Leste, His Excellency Augusto Junior Trindade, and representing the Naval Association of Australia, Ms. Pauline Gribble. We also warmly welcome Mr. Doug Baird, father of Corporal Cameron Baird, VC MG. Today marks the 13th anniversary of the action for which Corporal Baird was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of El Arish State School visiting from Queensland. Now, if you are able, could I please invite you to stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and those who require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to able seaman Gordon Frederick Bone. Gordon Bone was born on the 30th of December 1907 in Lismore, New South Wales. The son of John and Adelaide Bone, at the age of 21, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Navy, signing on for a period of 12 years on the 2nd of July 1928. He completed his initial training at HMAS Cerberus, the Navy's training base on Western Port Bay, southeast of Melbourne. After a draft to the 10,000-tonne County-class heavy cruiser HMAS Australia, in 1933, Bone was posted to HMAS Penguin, a naval base and training establishment in Sydney's eastern suburbs, near Garden Island on Sydney Harbour. In 1934, he joined the Scott-class destroyer flotilla leader, HMAS Stewart, then serving on the Australian station. In 1935, Bone returned to Penguin in Sydney before a posting to the 10,000-tonne County-class heavy cruiser HMAS Canberra the following year. In the years leading up to the outbreak of the Second World War, Canberra had periods as the flagship of the Australian squadron. While serving in Canberra, Gordon Bone visited the China Station in 1937, as well as a variety of New Zealand ports. The remainder of the time was spent undertaking routine peacetime cruising in home waters. At the outbreak of hostilities in September 1939, Canberra began patrol and escort duties in home waters and across the Tasman Sea. In June 1940, Captain Harold Farncombe assumed command, and the following month, Canberra continued her escort duties, now in the Indian Ocean. In this period, Bone, however, had joined HMAS Sydney, one of 3 modified Leander-class light cruisers acquired by the RAN in the years before the Second World War. With the declaration of war, Sydney had been instructed to carry out patrol and escort duties in Australian waters. Soon, however, she was instructed to make for the Mediterranean, where she was attached to the Royal Navy's 7th Cruiser Squadron. At the Battle of Cape Sparta in July, Sydney was part of the squadron patrolling the Aegean that encountered 2 Italian cruisers. In the running battle which followed, Sydney scored hits on Bartolomeo Colleoni, which disabled her boilers and guns, leaving her dead in the water. Sydney continued to engage the 2nd Italian cruiser, Bandiniere, and was hit in the funnel by a single Italian shell. Though Sydney hit Bandiniere at least twice, the enemy ship escaped. For this action, Sydney and her crew received a hero's welcome on her return to Australia in February 1941. She was the pride of the fleet. Soon, Sydney was tasked with escorting troop ships to Southeast Asia via an Indian Ocean route along the coast of Western Australia. In November, Sydney escorted the troop ship Zealandia north to Sunda Strait, where she handed escort duties to the British cruiser HMS Durban for the last leg of Zealandia's passage to Singapore. Many of Sydney's crew viewed this work as something of a milk run in comparison to the high-tempo operations she had recently experienced in the Mediterranean. The return passage from Sunda Strait was south, again along the coast of Western Australia. While single ship steaming on the afternoon of the 19th of November, Sydney sighted what appeared to be a merchant vessel some 200 kilometres west of Shark Bay. The ship was in fact the German raider Cormoran, disguised as a Dutch merchant ship, which, on sighting, Sydney had broadcast a feigned cry for help. Attempting to establish the identity of the vessel, Sydney drew almost a beam of Cormoran at very close range, keeping her main armament trained on the supposed merchant ship. When concealing its identity was no longer possible, Cormoran revealed her colours and instantly opened fire. Sydney's guns returned fire. Unfortunately, her first full salvo passed over Cormoran without causing damage. Cormoran immediately scored hits on Sydney with 2 salvos, hitting her bridge and midship section. Sydney's 2 forward turrets were quickly put out of action, but her aft turret engaged with fast and accurate fire, hitting Cormoran in the funnel and engine room. Simultaneously, Cormoran engaged with torpedoes, striking Sydney under her damaged forward turrets. With her bow low in the water, Sydney turned towards Cormoran, as though attempting to ram. The top of one of Sydney's forward turrets was blown off and flew overboard before the cruiser passed under Cormoran's stern on a southerly heading. Cormoran, now on fire in the engine room and with a consequent reduction in propulsion, continued to engage Sydney until out of range. Sydney, now crippled and on fire from the bridge, steamed slowly to the south. Both ships had been dealt mortal blows and sank during the evening. Survivors from the Cormoran were eventually rescued and interned. None of Sydney's complement of 42 officers and 603 sailors survived. Frederick Bone was 33 years old. With no grave but the sea, today his name appears on the Plymouth Naval Memorial, which commemorates more than 7,000 Commonwealth sailors of the First World War and almost 16,000 of the Second World War. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his name, listed on the Plymouth Naval Memorial, is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember able seaman Gordon Frederick Bone, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They have no grave but the cruel sea. No flowers lay at their head. A rusting hulk is their tombstone, a fast on the ocean bed. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a pleasant evening.